I am Hannah Schmidt, and I shall be your Toastmaster, or your Sergeant at Arms for today. A warm welcome to our meeting number 38. The theme for today is Leaders Are Made, celebrating 98 years.
Wow.
98. Wow, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly on this day, Saturday, 22nd of October in 1924, the first meeting was held at the YMCA building in October 22, 1924, with our big Toastmaster and we shall celebrate his 98th birthday. Toastmasters provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is a premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better and self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused on leadership development with the 4 core values: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Mary Lou, our timer, has her virtual hand raised so we can all immediately see who is keeping a watchful clock over us. I now have the honor introducing to you our Toastmaster of the day, Brent Pattison. Brent.
And it's upsetting very hard and things. So
Brent is the inaugural and immediate past president of Leadership Speak and a member of Toastmasters since 2019. He is an experienced senior executive, previously leading teams as large as 4,000 employees across the globe, and now focusing his time on independent consulting for a variety of projects and spending time with his family. Please help me welcome Brent, your Toastmaster of the day. Brent, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, Hannah. Well, as Hannah let us know here, we're here for an extra special reason today. The 98th anniversary of the first official Toastmasters meeting on this day in 1924. We've got a jam-packed agenda with some excellent speakers, including a special guest, past Toastmasters International President, Jim Kokocki. The theme today is that leaders are made, which happens to be Toastmasters' slogan, the place where leaders are made. I thought it fitting, in all reality though, as being the 98th anniversary of Toastmasters, for us to hear directly from Toastmasters founder, Dr. Ralph Smedley. And on that note, I'd like to share with you a little clip from Dr. Smedley.
And when I suggested a club in which they could learn to talk by talking, they welcomed the idea. I believed in the sound pedagogical principles of learning by doing and improving through helpful suggestions or constructive criticism, as I preferred to call it. We were strictly an educational group. We avoided the atmosphere of the classroom, and we learned in moments of enjoyment. I hope to see many thousands more given the advantage of this training in the years to come.
And many thousands more he did. There are currently 280,000 active Toastmasters members spread across 144 different countries in over 14,700 clubs around the world, of which, of course, Leadership Speak is one, us being the premier club where experienced Toastmasters come to become better self-directed leaders. And note, become better self-directed leaders. I wanted to quote take a quote from Warren Bennis, one of the foremost writers and thought gurus on modern day leadership. And he said, the most dangerous myth is that leaders are born, that there's a genetic factor to leadership. That's nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. Leaders are made rather than born. And I couldn't agree with that more. And when we talk about Toastmasters and the legacy that was created by Dr. Smedley, I thought I found a quote from a distinguished Toastmaster in Orange County, California, DTM Paul Clark. The secret of Toastmasters is that suddenly you're not only learning how to speak, but you're learning how to be a leader. And that really resonated with me, because that really is so much about what being a leader is based on that foundation of being able to communicate and bridge new ideas between people. And ultimately, it is that core skill of speaking well that enables us to become leaders. And we continue to build upon that in the time that we spend in Toastmasters. I'm honored to be able to host our meeting today as we forge together towards continuing to strive to become better self-directed leaders ourselves and truly make Toastmasters the place where leaders are made. And on that note, I'd like to now introduce Francoise Bowen, who is going to lead us in a toast to kick off our meeting. Francoise?
Happy, 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 happy Toastmasters. We just heard from our Toastmaster of the day, speaking about the beauty of Toastmasters from our founder. And the toast is none other than something that our founder, Dr. Ralph Smedley, shared with all of us. And this is from one of his books, and here it goes. This is a legacy from the founder. Dr. Smedley's last general message to the membership appeared in the 40th anniversary issue of the Toastmaster, October 1964. Since it reflects and summarizes his principles as well, it is reprinted below. I would like to remind you of some of the principles that have helped us reach our 40th anniversary, and I will now say 98th anniversary, that if we continue to practice them, they will help us reach our 60th at least, and I will say our 100th. Number one, let's keep it simple. 2, Toastmasters is a do-it-yourself activity. 3, Toastmasters is based on belief in the individual. 4, let us never forget that we learn in moments of enjoyment. If we observe these principles, I won't need to prepare a new message. Toastmasters will serve men for many years to come. Where leaders are made, grand toast, cheers. The virtual lectern is back over to you.
Are made.
Your leaders are made. Back over
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you very much, Francoise. Next up, I'd like to introduce our grammarian for the day, who's going to tell us the word of the day, as well as explain a little bit about what he's going to be doing today. Sudarshan Seshadri. Sudarshan?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's indeed correctly said, leaders are made. But guess what? In the process of making, you get forged. And therefore, I have chosen the word of the day to be forged, which can be seen right behind me on the screen. And this is the word of the day. It is a verb. The word basically means to create or form something, especially by concentrated effort. Exactly what we do in our clubs, our meetings, our roles. We get forged into becoming better self-directed leaders when we perform our roles. I also am the grammarian of today's meeting. So my role would be to listen to every single speaker, identify the usage of the English language, and highlight what in my opinion, is excellent and also highlight what, in my opinion, could be areas of improvement. So I shall keep a keen ear out and listen carefully, and my screen shall remain as it is. So in the event that you are speaking or called upon to speak, please make sure to use the word of the day, forged. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Next, I would love to introduce our timer for the day, who's going to explain how she's going to help keep this meeting on track and on time. Mary Lou Ashan. Mary Lou?
Hi, Brent, and hello, everyone. I'm the timer of the day, and my job today is to keep track of our speakers and our evaluators, just giving them an indicator of when they are at the time that they need to start thinking about wrapping up, and definitely when they are going to stop. For example, Brahm will be speaking for 8 to 10 minutes. So at 8, I will put the green sign on. At 9, I will put the yellow. And at 10, I will put the red. Our speaking times today are, our keynote speaker is for 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes. Brahm Memone is for 8 to 10. And Marianna Burka is 10 to 12. All the other speakers are for 5 to 7. Thank you very much, Brent.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Without further ado, we've got a pretty packed agenda with some great speeches. So I'd love to kick us off. And I'd like to welcome our first evaluator of our first speaker. That would be Samantha Richmond, to come and tell us a little bit about the objectives of our first speaker's speech. Samantha?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Today, the purpose of Brahm's speech is to practice applying feedback and serve as a speech evaluator during the club. So this is an evaluation and feedback speech from the visionary communications pathway. I asked Brahm before the speech what he would like me to look out for, and he indicated delivery and content in addition to the standard criteria for speeches. So please help me welcome Brahm Memone with the Leadership Gap. The Leadership Gap, Brahm Memone.
Usually the TMOD introduces the speaker, so I'm waiting for the TMOD.
Samantha, so Samantha kind of stole the stage, but I will. And with his speech, The Leadership Gap, Brahm Memone. Brahm Memone, The Leadership Gap.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Leaders are made, they are forged, absolutely. Not like a forgery signature, but forged completely. Like a blacksmith forges a piece of iron into a work of art. Art, exactly. Have you ever Googled the word leadership because you wanted to find out what leadership really means, right? Here's what I did. I Googled the word leadership. And I found last week, 5.17 billion entries, it said, in 0.7 seconds. Whoa. So I went on to Amazon, then I said, there's too many entries. I went to Amazon.com. I said, let me read some books on leadership to get to know about leadership. And guess what? 60,000 plus entries. I Googled this again yesterday for Google. And I found the same result. 6.3 billion, actually, it had gone up in 0.6 seconds. And Amazon still said 60,000 entries more plus. Now, that shows that leaders are really made. And let me tell you this, why there's so much stuff out there about leadership and people are trying to forge leadership. Because we treat leadership as a science, you cannot really forge it. A blacksmith knows not only the science, but the art of forging a perfect masterpiece. And at Toastmasters here, we know how to do that. You see, leadership is your unique expression of who you are and express yourself uniquely. Every one of you is unique. And so Just like an artist cannot become an artist by learning, the types of paintbrushes, the watercolors or acrylics or oil painting or the type of canvas or crayons and so on. He cannot become an artist. He can learn the mediums, but he cannot become an artist. A person cannot become an artist. An artist cannot become a master artist. You cannot become a Picasso or a Rembrandt or a Shakespeare, because you may have all the conditions right out there externally, but art is an internal expression. So you're not a piece of IKEA, right? You get instructions and you take everything out and you put the pieces together and suddenly you are a work of art. You are not, and you know it. And that's why we are failing at leadership. There's the leadership gap, and we need to forge leadership. And at Toastmasters, leaders are made. Dr. Lance Seckerton, one of my friends, one of the top 5 leadership gurus on the planet, I asked him just last month, what is leadership? Well, he said this: Brahm, I've written 22 books. Forget, the first 15 books that I wrote. Just leave them up aside. Don't even bother reading them. Don't even buy them. Don't even pick them up. What I learned about leadership when I wrote those, the model is totally different. He's just written another book just this past couple of weeks ago and published it on leadership with the help of other 15, 20 people. Wow. Did you get that? Hence, there's a leadership gap and leaders are made here, but we need to know how leaders are made. Now, I'm going to throw some concepts at you. Again, like art, there's the brushes and how the paint works and the canvas, but in the end, you will have to come and be on stage and practice. Leadership is not a spectator sport. Rosie knows, I know, we know. That's why we are here. And the gap lies in this particular concept. The biggest concept, the foundational concept in leadership is, how do we serve? You didn't learn that in school. I didn't learn that in school. I went to some of the best schools in England and in Kenya, and I didn't learn how to serve. No. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are faced with a dilemma, aren't we? Here's the thing, we are all conditioned. What's in it for me? If you're a salesperson, you know that, WIIFM, what's in it for me? That is our conditioning. If we think of ourselves all the time and what's in it for me, how can I experience this world better, have it all, be it all, right? You know that, right? The conditioning and what's going on social media. If you go to Instagram, all the smiling faces, big cars, big houses, right? And so it's all about positioning and status, because that's the conditioning. We've all gone through that conditioning. Our education system has failed us. We live in a highly individuated, hierarchical social structure, and therefore we come to Toastmasters to relearn, unlearn, and relearn, and learn something different. And here we are made into leaders, forged. So now let's look at this again. What's in it for me? Let's change this M into something else. Watch this M, right? And what I will do is I'll change it upside down. What does it become? A W. Now, if it is WIIFM, what is W? WIIFW is what's in it for we. So now we have to act as a team. And we were never taught to act as a team, unless you were in a small soccer team or basketball team in your school. You learned just during that period of time on the playground to be a team, but otherwise we were not. Now, if we begin to think of what's in it for we, that means there's a team with us. There's a community of people with us that we need to serve. And if they accomplish and they become good performers, we become good performers. That means we need to serve the team and serve ourselves as well. So that's why I said, what's in it for we? Not what's in it for them, but for we, all of us together. In Africa, we have a saying, Ubuntu, I am because of you. I am because of you. That is right. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we begin to see a little bit of a picture that I'm drawing for you here. These are concepts. You will have to take them and come on stage and use them and practice them to become a master artist, right? In how to serve. And so here are some things that I need to tell you that we could use, that I have used in my clubs and all those clubs that have been very successful that I have been in. And there's a track record for most of you know that track record. And this was the word, serve, how to serve, and I had to learn that very hard way, how to serve. And that's the leadership gap that I'm talking about. And let's see now what serve means in that context that I have learned over the years. By accident, by hard work, by school of knocks, not by reading books and then diving in and trying to do my best and falling flat on my face and getting up and trying to serve. The number one thing is, ladies and gentlemen, it's no secret in this club, if you know, I keep repeating this word over and over, and that is connect. We need to know how to connect. If we send a message in WhatsApp, in the group, you're not really connecting. It's a generalized message. People tend to ignore generalized messages. I need help. Can somebody help me? It's not a connection message. It's just a communication. George Bernard Shaw said this: communication takes place, but there's no connection. So we need to connect one-on-one so that people know that you care for them, care about them, and that you have their best interest at heart. Once they get that, then other things are possible. Great, amazing things are possible. And I connect with people one-on-one in every club that I've been, whether they're 10 members or 20 members or 50 members, one-on-one. I refuse to be busy when I'm connecting with human beings, because I don't want to talk to the veil of busyness with other human beings. Connection is very, very important for our club and other clubs in serving and making the constituents rise to the next level, which is, of course, putting others first and being generous. Now, we've never been taught how to be generous with other human beings. We've been taught that we are in a competitive environment. We need to compete for our jobs, compete for the next promotion, compete to be successful, right? And here now I'm telling you, put others first and be generous. So we are talking about servant leadership in a way. This is what we are learning in Toastmasters, the finest form of leadership, the highest form of leadership, being servant leaders. And so when you put others first, what are we going to do? We're going to add value to them. What do you want? How can I support you? How can I make and uplift you and take you to the next level? That is inspiring people. And lastly, what are we doing? We're shifting limitations. We are shifting the limitations to go beyond into another realm, expanding the comfort zone, stretching the comfort zone, as Nikhita would say. And therefore, these are the things that helps others serve. Now, these are just concepts. This is how the brush works, the oil painting, the watercolors, the canvas, but you have to practice it to become a Picasso, Rembrandt, or a Shakespeare. Because this is where leaders are made. If you know how to serve, you become a legend. You really do. Because true happiness is not in what's in it for me. True happiness is in how can I serve others, what can I do for others, and that's where happiness and greatness is. If you've seen Facebook, sometimes people post on Facebook, a man comes out of his car and helps an old lady across the zebra crossing to cross the road, and people will make comments under that video. Wow, humanity is restored, and people will say, I'm crying because I see this. Why? Because we've forgotten how to serve, and we see somebody serving from their heart. We are moved, right? And so leadership doesn't just happen in Toastmasters. It can happen on the street, anywhere. With that, make sure you know how to serve. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very, very much, Brahm. Madam Timer, if you wouldn't mind giving us 1 minute for all of us to send Brahm a private chat with some feedback about his wonderful speech today. Thank you. All right. Next up, I would love to introduce our next evaluator, Fursey Gotuaco. Fursey.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Our next speaker is going to be Marianna Burka. Marianna has just finished the pathway. This is going to be her reflection piece on her pathway. And today, on the birthday of Toastmasters, we will also celebrate Marianna's completion of her pathway. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Fursey. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Marianna Burka with her speech, Reflections. Reflections, Marianna Burka.
Thank you. I have to share my screen. Thank you very much, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. This is my second reflection. And I had my first reflection just about a month ago, which means it took me 4 years to finish my first path. You can say that I took my sweet time. But the second one, it was only 6 months. Even though I was working on other paths, other projects, and still it's only 6 months since I introduced you to my favorite, through my icebreaker, to my favorite coffee mug collection. If I can. You remember these? Yes. And I also told you that my vice is drinking coffee. And that was my icebreaker just about 6 months ago. And just a few weeks ago, I arrived to the final part of my path, which was the crown jewel of my project, being a moderator for a panel discussion. And it was scary, terrifying, and exhilarating all at the same time. So you can see 4 years, 6 months, something dramatically changed. And you might wonder, what happened? Well, I got lucky. I met the most particular, most precise person with the highest integrity and expectations that you can imagine. And he decided that I worth his time and attention. Or he just realized that he has to work with me in the next 12 months. So he might as well give me a little push to improve. Yes, Brahm, our fearless, no-nonsense president, he became my mentor. And my accelerated journey began. It wasn't, and it is not, a painless ride. When growing is involved, so is growing pain. My abilities and his patience were and are stretched to the limit on many occasions. My first ongoing challenge is to fill the agenda And you might think, oh, what is challenging in that? Well, for me, that meant I had to connect, call, message all of you. And I am an introvert. To begin building connections, relationships, it was scary at the beginning. But now I know all of you. I consider you as friends. Though the agenda still doesn't fill itself, but it is getting easier and easier. Parallel to my Pathway project, I also got involved at the organization of the Global Leadership Impact Summit. Oh, I left out my agenda. And in this when we organized Global Leadership Impact Summit, I was not in front and center. The opposite. I was working at the backside, registration. Hence, I got to meet everyone who signed up. I got to know everyone, whoever connected with us. Then again, it was an exhilarating and sometimes very tiring experience. There was one night I was supposed to transfer information, and one of our tech guys put a special program on my computer, but I crashed the program, and it was the middle of the night, no help available. So what I did, I transferred all the names and phone numbers individually. It took me all night, but by in the morning, 7 o'clock, it was done. Compared to these things, a simple Q&A project seems so ordinary. Talking about my favorite topic, though fasting, it was interesting and fun, answering your questions. Just like managing the difficult audience. Wow, that was fun for you. As a Pathway project, my second most challenging, most rewarding speech was the keynote. Of course, I was talking about health and wellness, but was challenging in it that I had to speak continuously for 22 minutes. And that is not an easy task for an introvert like myself. There is no question. I learned and grew exponentially in the past 6 months. But what is learning without sharing, without giving back? As you just heard from Brahm, self-improvement has to be used for elevating others. Though I do have an immense imposter syndrome, I do share my freshly acquired knowledge in any way that I can. I serve as area director for Area 81, and it feels good to be able to help those clubs with my advice, experience, or just being there, participate at their meeting to build a distinguished area. And just a week ago, I signed my first coaching contract. Yes, it is really requires a signature at the bottom of the page. Unbelievable. But coaching is a big deal for me. And I'm looking forward to help Olga, the very enthusiastic and committed president of Speakers of the Hill, to build up the membership and lead her club to a distinguished or even president distinguished level. Oh, talking about imposter syndrome, am I qualified to do that? I have to wonder, but I'm optimistic and eager. That must count for something. After all, I'm not even a DTM yet. I also share my newly acquired knowledge to help a new club to charter, where I will be a mentor, from mentee to mentor. It's a huge step forward, exciting and terrifying. That is my definite motto for this Toastmaster year, being excited and terrified at the same time, constantly. But I heard the best way to learn by teaching. And I will definitely keep you updated on that. But I believe my biggest responsibility is to share all that I acquired from my no-nonsense mentor, is to share with you, members of Leadership Speak. As I read Ashwati's comment just a few days ago on LinkedIn, the true leader is someone who enables others to be leaders. That leader is Brahm here, who set me on my way to be a leader. And myself, as such, I am continuing the chain. As VP of Education, I do have a connection with each and every one of you. Besides messaging and scheduling, I do have an open Zoom meeting twice a week. And I just call them open meetings. I am very creative. Every member of our club can attend if in need for any information regarding roles, or want to practice a speech, or just want to build one. The time is every Monday evening, 9 p.m. and Friday, 8 a.m. And please find your awake time and come. These meetings are for education, for brainstorming, and to build a community. So please join these meetings. Let's build Leadership Speak to an exceptional Toastmaster club where leaders come to learn.
Thank you very much, Marianna. Well done. Timer, if we could get 1 minute for everyone to provide Marianna with some feedback through a private chat. Thank you very, very much. Real quick, before we jump into our next speaker, I just wanted to acknowledge that our keynote speaker has arrived. Welcome, Jim. And we are looking forward to your keynote speech a little later in our meeting today. All right, next up, I would love to have our third evaluator, Vinod Panikkar, introduce the objectives of our next speaker's speech. Vinod?
Thanks, Brent. Toastmaster Bindhu is presenting her Level 1 Project 2 speech from Persuasive Influence Path. The project is writing a speech with purpose, and the purpose of the project is to learn or review basic method or writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. And the topic is stimulate self-appreciation through self-reflection. The speaker told me to share this with everyone. Thank you. And the timing would be 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you and all the very best. Back to you.
Thank you, Vinod. I'd like to now introduce you to Bindhu Joseph with her speech, Broken and Beautiful. Broken and Beautiful, Bindhu Joseph.
Broken and Beautiful. Note that the title is not Broken Yet Beautiful. That would be a sort of disservice to the term beautiful. It's like those irritating subscripts you have. Conditions apply. Why is that? It's because we have from early childhood associated beauty with perfection, and broken is not perfection. Me, on the other hand, well, not exactly in the same line. I've often enough heard in my childhood, you're not pretty enough, you're not fair enough, you're not dainty enough. Fortunately, I've not heard you're not smart enough. Anyway, that is how we see beauty. Or generally people see beauty. I'm a little bit a deviant there. For me, beauty is not just appreciation of some visual imagery. Beauty is much more than that. It's something that gives me joy, a feeling of awe, a sense of difference. Now, a little deviation. How many of you think that a rose is a perfectly beautiful flower? Can I see a thumbs up? Just what I thought so. Me, on the other hand, well, as I said, I'm a little different. I would feel that this, what you see here, the passion flower, diverse hues, different sort of petals, it charms me. It's almost as if God created all the flowers in the universe, and then he picked out these bits and pieces, glued it together to form this beautiful, unique little flower, the passion flower. Now, I'm eccentric. I'm very well aware of that. And I know that my views are a little eccentric, but I was curious. Does anyone else have this sort of twisted view of beauty? And so I researched. Yes, I Googled. Now research is mainly Googling. So, and I came across a beautiful age-old Japanese philosophy and art called kintsugi. Isn't it beautiful, this vase? I already know that few of you in the crowd are familiar with kintsugi. I think Brahm has mentioned it in a previous speech earlier. It's a beautiful art form in which broken pieces of pottery are glued together with a golden lacquer to make something that is unique and different. I was so fascinated by this kintsugi that I researched a little further, and I found that there is a charming Japanese fable associated with it. It was around the 15th century when a Japanese shogun, Ashimaka Yashimoto, he had this beautiful urn, a tea urn, and one day it shattered. And he was also shattered because he was so very fond of it. So what did he do? He sent it to the city to get it repaired. After 2 weeks, it came back, but he was shocked. I mean, The broken pieces had been stapled together with metal staples. It was ugly. But he was really fond of this vase and he was not willing to give it up. So he sent it to the local artisans. And 2 weeks back, he got something that he could barely recognize. It was so beautiful. They had used this golden resin or lacquer to glue together the various pieces, and the resultant pot was so much more beautiful than his original one. Now, this beautiful story, this concept, this appreciation of imperfections, it made me reflect. At any point of my time, was I broken? Several more times than I care to recall. But recently, let me relate one time that you can relate with because it has to do with Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters by an accident. Not wrong grammar, not by accident, by an accident. 3 years back, I had a car accident. I was in a car accident and broke 2 small bones in my foot, as a result of which I was not able to walk for quite a period of time, about 1 month, and couldn't run for maybe a year. Not a big thing, you think, but I am a fitness freak, and this was like a death sentence. I mean, did I feel broken? Yes, I feel broken, but that's not really what broke me. A series of investigations subsequent to this fracture resulted in me knowing that I have severe osteoporosis, translates into brittle bones. In fact, my author said that you have the bones of an 80-year-old. You impact, you fracture. Now, this did break me. I just didn't know what I would do with my life. I mean, it involved also taking a lot of medicines, which had its own side effects, something that I detest. Yes, I'm a doctor, but I still detest taking medicines like all of you. But that was a time I got an opportunity to change my life. I joined Toastmasters. Yes, at the time to take away the boredom because I couldn't go to the gym in the evening. But it did so much for me. It helped me grow. It helped me see myself in a new light. And it helped me connect with so many people, diverse personalities, make friends all over the globe. And believe me, for a wallflower like this, that's no easy trait. And after I joined Toastmasters, I changed. In a way, Toastmasters was that golden lacquer. It helped to piece me back together. And the person that I am now, more confident, more bold, is a person I see as more beautiful than as I was before. So, dear friends, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, at any point of time in the past, in the present, or in the future, if you feel that you are broken, believe me, you can repair yourself. The lessons you learn from the pain you suffer when you are broken or the bad experiences, they will serve as the golden lacquer that will piece those dreams back together, that will bring back your confidence, that will piece back your faith. And at some point of time, you might see yourself as I see myself now, broken and beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bindhu. Mary Lou, if we could get 1 minute so that everyone can give Bindhu some feedback through our private chat. Thank you very much, Mary Lou. I'd like to now introduce our fourth evaluator, who can let us know the objectives of our next speaker's speech. New rule?
Yes,
Munawar.
thank you.
Yeah, new
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah, thank you, Brent. Thank you. So the next speaker is Toastmaster Nikhita, level 3, project 1 of Persuasive Influence Path. The purpose of this project for the member to deliver a speech with awareness of intentional and unintentional body language, as well as to learn, practice, and redefine how he or she uses non-verbal communication when delivering a speech. Toastmaster, over to you to introduce the speaker.
Thank you very, very much. Nikhita is a dancer and a teacher. She started her Toastmasters journey in 2019 back in Nambia before she relocated to Spain. She was one of our founding charter members here at Leadership Speak. She recently received her first Triple Crown Award, and she's excited for her growth as a leader and professional speaker and teacher. Bringing us her speech today, Inside a Toast, Nikhita Winkler. Nikhita Winkler with Inside a Toast.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I want to share with you a day of celebration that's very close to my heart. It was the first time someone asked me to give a toast. It was the 18th of June, 2020, exactly a year after I joined Toastmasters ABC in Namibia. It was my godmother's 56th birthday. My godmother is a mother to many children. She is a highly respected woman of faith, and she is the mother that my mother would send me to when I needed to be disciplined. Now, for her birthday, she had a very cozy, intimate dinner with a few friends and family. And upon my arrival, she calls me and she says, Nikhita, I want you to do the toast to open the ceremony today. I gladly accepted. I felt ready. I felt honored. And I felt hand-picked by my godmother. I had so many words of gratitude for her. But what was inside that toast was so much more than the words that I could express. Inside a toast. Think about what's inside a toast. The act of toasting is an act of remembering, connecting, respecting. It is an act of feeling, projecting, inviting, observing, listening, offering, proposing, uniting, including, and accepting. The act of toasting is a moment to pause, breathe, look into each other's eyes, smile as we smell the sweetness of life in the many herbs within our glasses. Open, expand, and drink. Now, in some parts of the world, everyone has their own glass, and they share from one bottle. And in other parts of the world, one cup gets shared amongst the group. We see that in church during communion. We also see that in more traditional societies where everyone is gathered around a fire. I call the fire the unifier. Fire is a unifier. I've learned from where I come from in Namibia that when you come to a fire, you contribute, have to contribute something to the fire. It can be a stone, a stick. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you give the act of contribution, because to give, that way you receive. Now, as much as we toast to life, we also toast to death. We toast to those who are separated, who are limited. We toast to those who are too afraid to lean in with their glasses, those who do not toast, and those who are no longer with us. We always toast with something in our glasses, because what is in the glass goes inside of you and becomes a part of you. Today, we are celebrating 98 years of Toastmasters International. 98 years inside of our glasses. 98 years of maturing voices. 98 years of stories from all around the world. 98 years in which you and I have been a part of. Drinking from the fountain of Toastmasters integrity, dedication to excellence, service, and respect for each individual. What is inside of this toast is a collective gesture. Time, 98 years to be exact. And think about the transformation. If there was champagne in this glass or wine, it would be the transformation from the grapes into our glasses, like the day of my godmother's celebration. To 98 years. Skål, ching ching, cheers, shante, salute. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikhita. All right, we're going to take 1 minute so that we can give Nikhita some feedback about her speech through a private chat. And while we're doing that, if I could also actually have the poll for our best effort speaker today launched, and we could give an opportunity for everyone in the audience to vote for who they felt was the best speaker today. Just going to let the poll run here for just a moment longer. Everyone could please very quickly respond to the poll before we close it. And I'll hold you all in anticipation, and we'll announce the winner of the poll a little later in the meeting. Now I'd like to introduce all of you to our special guest speaker today. Jim Kokocki is a distinguished Toastmaster, and he also happens to be former president of Toastmasters International. Jim is an entrepreneur and business consultant residing in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. As a volunteer, he's also a member of the board at L'Arche St. Jean, which is part of a worldwide network of communities for people with intellectual disabilities. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the virtual stage Jim Kokocki with his speech, Persistent Lessons from Ralph Smedley. Jim, stage is all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Brent. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be with you and see some of your speakers today. A pleasure to be celebrating 98 years of Toastmasters with you. And my speech is about persistence. And I understand this club chartered in a month. Am I right in that? Chartered in 1 month?
1 week.
1 week. Wow. That must have been a long week for you guys. And good for you for sticking with it. There must have been several sleepless nights as you wondered if you were going to make it. That's fantastic. It's a wonderful achievement. And you know that some clubs take months, if not years. Some take over a year to charter. So to charter in a week is fantastic. And Brent reminded me, and I was at your kickoff meeting, but that's just a fantastic achievement. And with any achievement, then we've got the next phase is what's the next challenge? And there's always challenges. And we need to be persistent to overcome challenges. So I think with this club, I'm sure you're working through that. How does this evolve? How does this club evolve? You will see members drift away. We've got polls available at www.toastmasters.org that will tell you that 85% of the people who leave your club, who leave our clubs in general, 85% say, I got what I needed. I'll talk to people about this. I'll probably be back. People leave when they achieve their objectives. So one of the challenges in growth is always ensuring that we're providing opportunity for people to continue to personally achieve and collectively achieve within the groups. So there's always going to be challenges, and I'm interested how you will continue to evolve, how you will continue to grow, how you'll reach a new group of members, an additional group of members to help them develop. And in saying that, when we're evolving and growing, we can look at our current reality and need to look at our current reality. It seems like this is an exceptionally strong club. So sometimes we need to simply respond to the current reality, and that's the next chance to grow and evolve. Sometimes we need to manufacture a crisis, and that's a controversial term, but that's a real concept within business. It's manufacturing a crisis. That's a bit harsh, a bit dramatic, but sometimes that's the case. We need to, when a team's initially forming or evolving, we need to manufacture an early crisis or opportunity to stretch the skills from how team members perform, how we interact together, how people respond to challenges. So I know there's an opportunity here. You're working to achieve 10 out of 10, I believe, by end of November or maybe 1st of November. That's fantastic. It's fantastic that you set an interim goal that I hope people are buying into. Sometimes that's a challenge of leadership, for seeing people to accept goals that organizations set, but that's a true leadership measure. So that's a reality outside of your Toastmaster club. That's a reality outside of Toastmasters. Every organization in the world is working to achieve annual goals. And sometimes there's important interim goals. Sometimes they're manufacturing interim goals and crises to see how teams respond. So good for you for having those interim goals and to continue to grow and evolve this wonderful club. So about Smedley, a couple of, I'll invite you to answer in chat here. This first one should be easy. What year was Toastmasters chartered? That's a bit of a math problem potentially, but many of you will get that right. What year was Toastmasters chartered? There we go. Everybody knows 1924. That's fantastic. 98 years ago. Some people know that innately, I suppose, and some people are just simply good at math, and both are both are to be commended. Okay, tougher question. What year did Ralph Smedley start his first Toastmaster club? Let's see that in chat. Oh my gosh. Brent's got that too. Maybe you talked about that earlier. Yes, 1905. So imagine that. 1905, he started the first club. In 1924, it was chartered. And in what state in the United States did he start that first club? Let's see what you got here. I want you to chat. Ohio. Tennessee, okay. Actually, I'm not, I think it was Indiana or Illinois. I always get the two confused. I know, I can picture them both. I've been to Illinois. It was either Illinois or Indiana, I think. And I'd be happy to be corrected, but yes, Smedley worked for the YMCAs. He had senior roles in many YMCAs across America as he continued to develop. He was transferred around. So we started the first club, not in California, but California is really where it took roots. So I want you to think about that from a persistent standpoint. And I'm going to encourage you to be persistent in pursuing your goals. And you've got goals in Toastmasters. You've got goals beyond Toastmasters. So I want you thinking about how persistent Smedley was. He started in 1905. He was working with the YMCA, young men. It was not men and women back in those days. He was working with young men. And he said, look, these young men, they need a place where they can practice their leadership skills and their communication skills. And he started the first club, and he deliberately chose the word club. And you may have encountered this, but sometimes businesses, they don't understand why we're a club and we're not a chapter, we're not something else. But he deliberately chose the word club because he said, look, that's collegial, that's supportive, we're getting together, supporting one another. He chose the word club to describe the organization. He started in 1905, and he would start a club, it would go well, he would get transferred, the club would fail. And that continues to happen today. Part of leadership is developing a team around you, right? It's developing other talent. It's making sure that anything we develop is an investment for the long term. So Smedley did his best, and he'd start clubs in Indiana, and Illinois, and Tennessee, and Ohio, and they would succeed. He'd move on, and then the leadership at the time was not picked up, and the clubs would fail. So it was a smattering of clubs throughout the world, and then he did get transferred to Santa Ana, California. I saw somebody in the chat had mentioned Santa Ana. So that's when he started another club, and some other clubs blossomed, and that's where it finally took root, where there was enough of a group around him, enough of a group of leaders who understood the mission and vision, who bought into it, who were willing to put some of their personal time and energy into growing this great organization. And it's finally where it took root. And you're probably aware the first club internationally was in Victoria, British Columbia in Canada. And from there, well, Smedley would never understand or believe how we've grown across the world. There's some wonderful publications from Toastmasters. The Story of Toastmasters is a very good one. 2 volumes, as I recall. I have them both and have read them. Smedley's daughter used to work for the organization. She used to type up labels for the magazine. Can you imagine if typing up 300,000 labels these days? I'm sure Smedley never envisioned that we would grow to that level. But he was persistent. So you folks understand, 1905, 1924, really growing roots and incorporating in California. And I'll just mention for your interest, we are headquartered now in Denver, Colorado, but we were still incorporated. We are California not-for-profit corporation. And California is known for having the most stringent rules governing not-for-profits. So I hope you do take pride in that too. That was a deliberate decision of the board to be a California and remain a California corporation. So in talking about persistence, let's see, I'd like to mention a situation I've had as one of the board members for L'Arche here in St. John. L'Arche, as Brent mentioned, is an organization that works with people with intellectual disabilities. So in St. John, we've got a very small operation, a home with 5 people who have intellectual disabilities, live with 3 people who don't have intellectual disabilities. And we fund that. The provincial government gives us some money. We fundraise a lot more. Had a huge fundraising dinner with Frank McKenna, the Honorable Frank McKenna last year to raise a significant amount of funds. And we faced a difficult decision. How do we grow the organization considering some of the financial challenges. And we started a operation, a beautiful operation, where people could make art together. So this was about expanding our reach strategically, makes sense. How do we reach more people with intellectual disabilities? How do we make people who don't have intellectual disabilities more aware of the work that we do? How do we bring in volunteers? And I will tell you, the people with intellectual disabilities, for the most part, they want friends. Many of them are lonely, they're isolated. Other people don't know how to react. So for our little organization, L'Arche St. John, we were stressed by the decision, but knew strategically was the right thing to do. We needed to provide more visibility, more opportunity for people to participate. In this case, Monday to Friday from 9 to 5, to provide respite for parents and caregivers who live with family members with intellectual disabilities and need a little time alone. So while we knew it was the right thing to do, it was financially a massive stress to find the right location, reject ones that were less expensive but less visible, that didn't meet the core objectives. So I offered as an example of being persistent, understanding and balancing financial risk with the opportunity to deliver on mission. So I know many of you have goals beyond Toastmasters, and sometimes you need to be persistent in how you move on those. So that's an example of opportunity that we saw at L'Arche, a problem we saw at L'Arche, the problem being isolated and not visible to other people in the community. And Smedley saw a problem and an opportunity. And we sometimes use those terms interchangeably. Problems are opportunities, depending on how you look at them. And Smedley's problem statement was, these young men need an opportunity, a place where they can practice their communication and leadership skills. So you've got some problem statements running through your mind too. Maybe you want to be involved in reducing litter in your community, or making a contribution towards hunger and hungry families, or homelessness. Might be big, it might be small, but you're probably silently crafting a problem statement or an opportunity statement. So I'm going to ask you, I want you to tell people about that. You don't need to have it entirely figured out, but I ask you, speak in your club about what you see as the opportunity or you see as the problem. You do not necessarily have to have a solution. You might simply say, look, this is a problem that I see in my community. This is an opportunity where I think a few of us could make a difference. And that does not mean you're committing to take the action, but I ask you to speak about these sorts of issues that you perceive, and to give your point of view and see where it might take you. Smedley, as I mentioned, started in 1905, saw a problem, took action, talked to people about it. Ultimately, in 1924, this organization was incorporated, and we've got 38 people here today who are benefiting from the discussions he had and from the actions that he took. So make speeches in your club. Talk about what you see as the current issue, opportunities today, how you think that might evolve, what somebody should do. That doesn't mean you need to do it, but when you do talk about these opportunities, then you're going to have people say, look, I share your point of view. I haven't got it figured out either, but I know somebody who's interested in this as well. Let's just see if we can make something happen, if we can start the ball rolling. So do prepare speeches, deliver table topics on topics that you think are of relevance to your community. You've got a tremendous opportunity here within Toastmasters, that wonderful organization that Smedley that started, to influence a network, to clarify your thinking, to clarify your messaging around steps that you think the community, the broader community, should take. So congratulations once again. It's amazing that you've started this club, incorporated this club, chartered this club in just 1 week, and you're off to a fantastic start. You will continue to see challenges, except that people will leave your club. And people will leave your club. Our data tells us 85% will say, look, I got what I needed. And I will tell people about this amazing club, and I may be back. But you're empowering people to become more effective communicators and leaders, and they're going to do amazing things in the broader world. So I hope you can take some credence from what I'm indicating and speak about those opportunities to make a bigger difference in the world and continue to make a bigger difference in Toastmasters. Congratulations on your success. My pleasure to spend some time with you today. Back to you, Brent.
Thank you so very much, Jim. It truly is an honor and a pleasure to have you here and sharing that message that so well resonates with our theme of our meeting. On that note, again, thank you very much to Jim and taking his valuable time to join us today. Mary Lou, if you could just give us a recap of the timing of our speeches today.
Second. Okay, so Brahm's speech was 11 minutes and 22 seconds. Marianna was bang on for 12 minutes. Bindhu was 7 minutes and 51 seconds. And Nikhita was 6 minutes and 36 seconds.
Thank you very much, Mary Lou. All right, folks, we are going to give you all a 5-minute break. Go refill your coffee, your water, use the facilities, however you wish to spend your next 5 minutes. But let's all be back here exactly 5 minutes from now, and we'll reconvene our meeting. Thank you all.
Yes, that will give me a chance asking some of our visitors or guests to just give us a quick feedback. And I see an old friend of mine, Karen Rees, is here. Karen, how are you? You are muted.
Yes, I was just saying I'm muted. I'm trying to get up there and get that done. Yes, thank you. And it's such a pleasure to see all of you here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. And what about Jesse? He's also joined us, although a little bit late, I think, but he came in.
And I would say good evening from my time, or good morning, good day to every one of you, members of Leadership Speak and guests. I believe that today we are doing a tremendous purpose by celebrating the 90th birthday of Toastmasters. And we are here the only club that I've seen for the online or offline clubs to celebrate. So I'm very happy to join today, and I've heard amazing speeches and evaluation. Just be really a big privilege to be one of the guests here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And who else's face can I see here that I can quickly ask? They're all on the Sharav, are you there?
I am, Hannah.
Yes, please just give us a short, what do you think of up to now?
Oh, sure, Hannah. It's always a pleasure to join a meeting of Leadership Speak. Today is certainly no exception. What brilliant speakers we've had today, and what an amazing homage to Ralph Smedley and this amazing organization. I personally can't see a better way to celebrate our venerable organization's 98th anniversary.
Thank you. Indeed. Well, will we ever turn 98? That's the other question. Paul, are you there? Paul Mwanga? Not there. Okay. We'll find some other one. We'll find another one. Oh, yes. You know what? We've got a new member at Leadership Speak, and she is Ashwini Aronkar. But unfortunately, she has not got a video on. A warm welcome to Ashwini, and you have definitely joined the Toastmaster Club. Guest Mina. Are you there, Mina? You also put a comment into the chat box. Nothing there. Okay, no problem. We'll find somebody else. What about Sandra? Sandra, are you making coffee for yourself? We've got 1 more minute left, so everybody can quickly speak. There we are. Thank you, Sandra.
Hi, it's a rainy Saturday morning in Trinidad and Tobago, and listening to these presentations this morning has certainly brightened and warmed my day. It's always a pleasure being here on a Saturday morning. I'm sort of almost a member, and I really enjoy today's meeting. I would like to wish everyone happy Toastmasters Week, happy Toastmasters Day. I look forward to future meetings.
Okay, thank you very much. Where's it raining? Because it has been raining here with us too, and washed the air. Oh, beautiful. Okay, now we shall have to reconvene. Is our Toastmaster of the day there? No, I don't see him there. There we are. Welcome after your break from Leadership Speak. At Leadership Speak, nothing is forged, nothing. All is. There we are, natural. Having listened to 5 extraordinary speeches, we can now expect an excellent second half, the evaluation section. And because we had 5 excellent speakers, we will not have table topics today. And Brent, the
Thank you,
virtuous
Hannah.
stage is yours. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. All right. As Hannah mentioned, we are now jumping into the evaluation portion of our meeting, and I get the pleasure to introduce our general evaluator of the day, Sandy Emden. Sandy, of course, a fellow Canadian like myself, although she resides in the land of black bears and blueberries and the nickel mining capital of the world. Sandy Emden.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Brent. Good afternoon, global visitors and members to Leadership Speak. This is the part of the meeting where the speakers are just waiting for some helpful feedback on their speech projects today. And we have had 5 speakers. I will begin by introducing the role, sorry, not the role, but our very first speaker evaluator is Toastmaster Samantha. And she will be evaluating Toastmaster Brahm's speech today. And the timing for all the evaluations today are 2 to 3 minutes. And the timer, I believe, yes, is there with its hand up. So let us begin with our very first speech evaluation, Toastmaster Samantha.
Good afternoon from me, Madam General Evaluator, and I am on camera off because I have no power, so excuse me for that. So I get the privilege of evaluating a 3-time DTM and a very experienced Toastmaster. The leadership gap. Brahm asked me to look out for delivery and content. Content always on point. I love the reference to the world of art. And in many ways, leadership is, and being in the space is a form of art. It is a path that you need to forge and learn as you go along. He introduced us to the concept of serving and what's in it for us, or we versus the individual. And within that, there were some sub-concepts that he introduced us to. I also liked, and I noticed it throughout all the speeches, that reference was being made to what each speaker learned from another speaker. I think that is something, there's something I've seen for the first time. And as speakers, as we grow and learn, I think that's a really lovely thing. It shows that we are listening to what our fellow Toastmasters are saying, and also learning from each other. So where do I think are points of improvement? The time for this was 10 minutes, and the speech clocked in at 11 minutes, 22 seconds. So first and foremost is thinking about how do you want to spread your message? I felt that that bit around serving and the sub-concepts, maybe you want to spend a little bit more time on that. And that's just something when we're writing speeches is to think about where do you want to put the bulk? And it's usually at the middle, where you want to deliver your core message and wrap it up at the end, which Brahm did really well, and several speakers of bringing it full circle when reference was made to the artist. I would also, thinking about your title, The Leadership Gap, I would have loved to hear a bit more reference to that specifically and relating it to the content that you were sharing with us, which was very invaluable. And I think a use of transitions could assist with that. Framing in the box. I know I'm not going to ever tell you to not use your technology, but one thing is just to be mindful of when you're standing and when you're sharing your screen, because there were points where you were over your words. So just something to really be mindful of. And also eye contact, because when you're moving your screens behind, I actually put you on speaker view. I could tell you were losing contact with the camera lens. So that's also something to be mindful of. Hand gestures, I think you could use a bit more intentional hand gestures as well. They were there, and some of them were also lost between the box. And I think lastly, and this is for anyone who makes reference to anything, because I'm South African, I know this, Ubuntu is actually a South African term. So you might want to say the notion of togetherness is something that is African, because the term Ubuntu actually comes from one of our official 11 languages. So that's just something to be mindful of when you reference other people's material. Otherwise, there's always spot on, and always enjoy listening to you speak, Brahm, and good luck. I believe you're delivering the speech later on today. Thank you, and back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Samantha, for giving that evaluation of Toastmaster Brent. A couple of things that I would like to just add as the general evaluator is that, sorry, just looking at my notes here, you gave Toastmaster Brahm, not Brent, a lot to think about today. And I think what I would have liked you to do, you did it a few times, was point out something where he could make it even better, and then you gave an example. And what I would have liked to hear more of was the transitions. You pointed out to him that you would have liked to see more transitions. And I'm not sure it's because I want to learn that too, but I was waiting to hear some examples of those transitions. You did give amazing examples in other areas like tech and slides and where to place yourself. Those are really good. I learned a lot from this evaluation. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Samantha. Sorry, the timer. Oh, the next evaluator will be Toastmaster Fursey, coming up to evaluate Toastmaster Marianna's speech today.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Marianna Burka, great job on your journey. Fantastic job on your journey. And to be able to put it in perspective of the things that have influenced you along the way is a fantastic way to show us that we can all do it too. And what are some of those steps along the way? So I appreciated that you were able to outline those steps for us and some of those pivot points along your journey. It is clear that these pivot points were critical in forging that path forward. You were able to assemble that for us and show us how you got from point A to point B, including all points in between, like Brahm Memone. You showed confidence, you showed calmness, you had clarity in how you were speaking and clarity in the structure of your speech. Your audience was with you all the way. I looked at the audience at several points, saw how they were applauding you and laughing with you on your points of humor. This points towards your effectiveness. I appreciated how you described the different pieces, how you describe some of the things within your emotional context. I think this is terrific. Clear examples like the summit worked for you very well. Honoring your mentor was terrific. How can we take what we've done in this speech and apply it moving forward? Because a lot of times we think that once we've done a speech, well, it's done, it's over. But instead, I'd like for you to consider taking this reflection speech and being able to reflect on it in that metacognition of how do I move forward doing other speeches based on this speech. So for example, you've shown us the journey. What's the real message behind it? That we should take a journey ourselves, that we should start our journey, that we should finish our journey, that we should enjoy the journey, that we should have a mentor and value that journey and become mentors ourselves. What's the real message that you want us to absorb and send forward? I think we can make that a little clearer and really have some impact. It's a great story. Give it a punch. Your gestures, if you would move those away from your body for me so that you're not stuck here, I think you've got fabulous ideas. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and pivot every once in a while. You can turn your body. We don't have to be full front to the camera. We can just pivot to the side and just putting us on a profile, boom, gonna make it very interesting with just a subtle little twist. You got that. And hey, use a clicker. That way you don't have to keep leaning forward, right? Use a clicker. It's magical. Marianna, thank you very much. Fabulous speech. Great journey. Now, tell us to go on our own journey as well. Thank you. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Wow. I love this club. Thank you, Toastmaster Fursey, for teaching me, Marianna, the rest of the people who are here today. That was a stellar evaluation. And I don't have a thing to add except that I took 2 pages of notes, learned many things, and that's all I'm going to say. We will now go to our third evaluator today, who is Toastmaster Vinod, and he will be evaluating Toastmaster Bindhu's speech today with the same timing. And here we go, Toastmaster Vinod.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. Toastmaster Bindhu, Kintsugi, your speech reminded me of another Japanese philosophy called wabi-sabi. It means embracing imperfection. Now, you were spot on to the purpose of your speech. As the purpose of the speech required, you were on topic that you wanted me to share, self-appreciation through self-reflection. Now, the second thing, I don't know about your brittle bone, but one thing I know that you have a humorous bone. And I will tell you why. When you spoke about no one said I was not smart, that tickled me a little bit. Then you spoke about your brittle bone. And the third most humorous thing, which I don't think was meant to be humorous, was Shogun Ashikaga Yoshimasa. You should get an award to just remember that name. That really made me tickle a lot, laugh a lot. So thank you very much for that. And you are easy to follow on. Now, being a leadership speak club, let's focus on the best room in the world is the room for improvement. So let's directly jump first to the technicality. I would request you not to use a background where you're just like my hand, some hairs were going here and there. We would like to see you in full. Second is, I believe, and I always keep saying the power is in your point, not in your PowerPoint. You could have only used one slide, that was enough. Now, coming to the purpose of the speech, an evaluator need to focus on the organization. You had 3 stories, the rose, the passion flower, 15th century, Japanese person's story, and Toastmaster's story. What I thought was your organization could have been better if you have completely removed the rose and passion flower story, because it did not take anywhere near to the topic that you were sharing. You could have directly start in the 15th century, something like that, so that it either you started with a story, then you gave a context from where you are coming, the kintsugi, and then you start with Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, what I would have loved you to share is, which was that moment where you realized that here I am not broken, I am getting molded, or that golden lines are here in this Toastmaster. I would have loved if you would have shared that 1 or 2 moments where you actually felt that this is the place and that something has happened for the good. Your rhythm, I would say, you have a beautiful musical voice. Your pronunciation, your enunciation, you should be a rap singer. I should really encourage you to do that. So overall, I'll say that you forged the speech using a mold of humor, organization, and kept the main thing the main thing. Add the golden lining and keep spreading the message of kintsugi. Thank you very much, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Vinod, for those helpful tips. The role of an evaluator is to make the speaker want to speak again, to talk about what they heard and saw, and to provide some tips. And you did all of that. Thank you for that, Toastmaster Vinod. Our last evaluator is Toastmaster Nuro, who will evaluate Nikhita's speech project today.
Thank you, General Evaluator Sandy. Nikhita, excuse me, please. I can't switch on my video again because of the power outages. And so without switching off my video, I will do my evaluation for your speech. Yes, Nikhita, what a wonderful speech. Started with a day of celebration on 18th of June 2020 and ended with a toast for Toastmasters 98th anniversary. What a way to start and what a way to end, and beautiful. You really structured your speech in a beautiful way. Being a dancer, smooth transition of your body language was very smooth. I really like the way that you have used your body language for each and every word. I mean, you know, there was continuously for each and every word you were using connecting, including you were using every word you're using your body hand gestures. It was so beautiful, and I just couldn't imagine how you incorporated all these body languages in your speech. Well done, Nikhita. A big round of applause to you. However, Nikhita, that overusage of the body language sometimes, you know, sometimes disturbs your speech, because sometimes we really felt certain body languages you could have avoided. So, for example, when you talk about your mom, you just showed your point fingers, which you could have really avoided, and the place you used, you know, contributing to the fire, you were showing that how igniting a lighter. So rather than using that gesture, you could have, you know, used your facial expression with using your eyes would have, you know, would have been much better to your speech. But in summary, I should say it was an excellent speech, because it's very difficult to deliver a speech with body language throughout your speech, but you did to your best. But by considering bringing down some in certain places the body language, you know, it was really making disturbance to your speech. Your speech could have been much better. But all in all, it was an excellent speech. Congratulations, Nikhita. A big round of applause again to your wonderful speech. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nurul. Well, we've had great speeches, we've had evaluations that were helpful, and now we are going to move on to get our timers report, please, from Mary Lou.
So the timings for our evaluator is Samantha was 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Fursey was 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Vinod was 3 minutes and 7 seconds. And Narul was 2 minutes and 54 seconds.
Thank you so much for that, Toastmaster Mary Lou. And now the grammarian report, please, by Toastmaster Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, before I begin my grammarian's report, what I was extremely impressed by was the fact that we all spoke one language, but we spoke it all in very, very different methods, manners, and pronunciations. And that, I think, is the hallmark of the Global Leadership Speak Club. And my grammarian's report is going to focus a little bit on that as well. To start with, the word forged was used all across the meeting for 12 times. And if there was a prize for one speaker to have spoken that word most number of times, Brahm walks away with the award because he used it about 7 times out of the 12 times that we all used the word in the speech. A couple of other things from Brahm's speech, some very, very unique usages. Wheel of business, humanity restored, shift limitations. These are uses of the 2 words in unique combinations which only could be found in Brahm's speech. One area of improvement, he used the word piece of IKEA. Piece of IKEA doesn't mean anything. It is either a piece of IKEA furniture or a furniture like IKEA or something of that kind, which can make a little more sense. Toastmaster Marianna, when she started out, she displayed a magnificent collection of her coffee mugs, and she called it the coffee mug collection. Could be addressed as collection of coffee mugs. That's a slightly correct usage of the words that you would want to put in sequence. But some of the excellent words that she used, scary, terrifying, exhilarating, it was a paradox in action in terms of a figure of speech. Imposter syndrome, which she used 4 times, again communicated her thought process about herself and her journey. Next came Toastmaster Bindhu. In her speech, I found a lot of beautiful references, and that was an example of how English is spoken in another part of the world in a very different manner. The word staple was pronounced as staple. The meaning was the same, the pronunciation was different, which is unique to her. A couple of things that I would like to tell the speaker. It is eccentric, not eccentric. So if the word is to be used, it is eccentric and not eccentric. Similarly, send it and not send it, because the connotation is very different. So these are things that the speaker would do well to focus on. Next was Nikhita. There is only one statement to communicate. Fire is the unifier. I'm going to use it liberally in next speeches that I make. Thank you very much for that. Our keynote speaker, I don't think there was anything particular to point out except for the use of the words manufacturing crisis. I think that's something that we all know about but don't use very often. The 4 evaluators were excellent. I couldn't find much to talk about there, but I would like to say fantastic Fursey is what I would want him to be addressed as, because he used the word fantastic about 5 times in the first 3 sentences of his evaluation, and that is the reason why I'm calling him fantastic Fursey. Overall, I think the use of the English language in our meeting was excellent, and as I said in the beginning, we all speak the same language but speak it very differently, and that's what makes it, listening to a meeting in this club, even more interesting than any other club. Thank you, and back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Wow, thank you for that grammarian report. That was very thorough, extensive, and I kind of think that Fursey now has this new handle, Fantastic Fursey. It's gonna stick, Fursey, just watch. Would you please put up the poll for the evaluator today of your choice that you felt met the objectives of helping the speaker want to speak again and giving the speaker some suggestions on how to make it even better. That poll, I'm not sure where it comes from, but I was reminded to ask you to vote for it. Oh, look at that. I just love technology. For the evaluator has now gone up. And I will give a brief evaluation of the meeting, I believe about 3 minutes. This is the absolute best part of my Saturday. I love spending time with people around the world. I feel like this club is like learning with a fire hose in your face. There's so much learning, so much connection. And today was an example of that. I have been a Toastmaster almost 20 years. There's so many things I didn't learn just about the history of Toastmasters that Jim was able to enlighten us with today. We started on time with our Toastmaster from across the pond, way over there in Namibia, Hannah. And Hannah, you set such a great example at learning something new. I always have more confidence and more inspiration after watching people try something new. It's a story I need to get rid of. And you just keep forging through the role, forging through the meeting, and just asking for help and doing what you need. And I just love it. I love to see that in actually so many of our role players today, including myself, being a bit nervous, doing what you can, but learning for the next week. I was very inspired. Toastmaster Brent. A personal thing with me is hearing from somebody constantly about how jam-packed the agenda is. So we have no time to spare and no time to waste. And the jam-packed for me makes me think, oh, we have to hurry, we have to hurry. And I might suggest that you say we have a jam-packed agenda with some fantastic speakers, or else, I don't know, just suggest maybe not saying jam-packed so much. I loved this guy, what's his name? Sudarshan, the grammarian. Wow, why weren't you my English teacher all through high school? I've learned so much from you every week. I can't believe the notes that I've taken. And one thing that stands out for me mostly, we speak the same language, but we speak differently. I love this global club. What can I say? I have to stop talking because, oh, do I have to give awards? Oh, the winner for the best evaluation, drum roll from around the world, is our fantastic Fursey. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do anything else. I kind of think I'm done. So I will turn it over to our chair, Toastmaster Brent.
Thank you very much, Sandy. I think, Mary Lou, did we get a timers report from you though?
Yes, you got it for both the evaluators.
All right, we're good.
Yeah, the only thing that we need to do is the speakers who won.
You got it, and that's what I was going to jump into. And without further ado, the winner of our best effort speaker for today, it was a tight race, but Bindhu Joseph. Congratulations, Bindhu. All right, folks, thank you very, very much for everyone attending our jam-packed meeting. Nah, just messing with you, Sandy. It was a great meeting. We obviously had the pleasure of having a past international president come speak to us. That's not something that happens at every Toastmasters meeting. And what a better time than on the celebration of the anniversary of Toastmasters on our 98th year of being this group of international people coming together to become better self-directed leaders. We've got a little bit of time before our official close of the meeting at 11:30. We've got a lot of guests who've attended. I know we heard from some of the guests during the 5-minute break, but I would like to take this moment real quickly to offer the opportunity to any of the number of guests that are here today, if they wanted to share their experience of attending possibly for the first time, or maybe they've been here for a couple of times and they're still waiting for something to inspire them to reach out and join the club. Any of our guests today, if you have something that you'd like to share about your experience here with us today.
Yes, sir. I am Toastmaster Anand from India, the Madras Toastmasters Club. So first time I'm attending this meeting. Okay. So during the evaluation session only I have joined. Okay. So as a budding Toastmasters, I've got lot of insight how to give the effective feedback from the evaluators. That was wonderful. I'm very much curious to attend future programs. And I am completely spellbound about the grammarian report. It was fabulous. So thank you very much for giving a great opportunity for me to attend. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Anand.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Any of our other guests like to share some feedback about their experience today?
Brent, I'd love to share a few words.
Please, Sharov, go.
Sure. I was just sharing with Hannah earlier today that whenever I attend a leadership speak meeting, it never disappoints. Today, of course, was no exception, but I was blown away. I was awe-inspired by the exceptional skill of our speakers, our evaluators, all our role participants. Truly, truly amazing. And I was sharing with Hannah what an amazing homage to Ralph Smedley and the Toastmasters organization on this very special day. I couldn't imagine a better meeting on the 98th anniversary of this venerable organization. So thank you very much for having me once again, Brent and everyone.
Thank you again for joining us, Sharov. It's always a pleasure.
Do sign our guest book then, please.
I absolutely will, Hannah.
Thank you. I had just posted it, so please. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Sorry, Brent.
No apology necessary. It's a fantastic reminder, Hannah. Any other guests?
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Deidre.
Congratulations on the 98th anniversary. Today's meeting was fantastic. 5 speakers. It was a lot to put in my success bag because each speaker brought something different, something new, something inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Deidre.
Hi, Brent. It's Mo Mohammed.
Hey, Mo.
How are you?
I'm great.
I'm in incognito because I had my left eye surgery done yesterday. So I cannot look at any equipment. I can't look at iPad. I'm restricted to look at everything, but I listen to everything audio. And there are a few things that really stand out. Leaders are forged and create. Jim said we got to create a crisis or look for opportunity where crisis. It is so remarkable in a world that has so much turmoil that this club represent a very, very unique position in that we are creating or forging leadership and with the help of a very great friend that is Brahm Memone. And that's my 2 cents. But it was a remarkable meeting. I've been in the club for 23 years, and this meeting today needs a greater celebration than just a toast. What we need to do is we all get together at your resort up in Collingwood here and celebrate. So I'm going to challenge you, as Jim said, let's create something new. Let's get together and celebrate again and again. Thanks.
Thanks, Mo. And Mo, thanks for being here and helping set the record for the number of meetings attended as a guest.
Well, thank you. It's all because of not persistent Percy, but persistent Brahm.
I'm still waiting for that day when I actually see your name on the list of members, though, Mo.
Jim just challenged me today because I have to write my book. I have to get out of Toastmasters to start writing my book. So Jim has challenged me, and I'd love to meet Jim in person one day and challenge me to that extreme to get out there and start writing.
No day like the present, Mo.
Thank you.
Any of our other guests? We'd love to hear from everyone who attended.
Thank you. My name is Paul Mwanga. I have been a Toastmaster for about 5 months now. I am the charter president of my club. We are 100% Rotarians. This is my first time to attend this meeting. What I'm doing is to move around as much as possible and try to learn as much as possible so that I can try my best to have a good club going. I've really enjoyed this meeting. I've learned a lot, and I look forward to joining you again when I get a chance to get a link. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here, Paul. Where is your club based out of, Paul?
We are in Uganda. Uganda
Excellent.
is in East Africa, in Africa, yes.
We actually have a number of members who are based in Africa.
Okay, nice.
Brent, if you could ask Jesse Chang here to make a comment. Hi, Jesse.
Jesse, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Brent, and thank you, President. This is Jesse Chang. Earlier before this meeting, I was attending an event organized by Fursey. It's called Division Z of District 85. This is the first district I've joined. Right now, I'm a member of 5 different clubs of 3 districts. They are District 85, District 118, and the background I'm showing right now is called South California English Mandarin Bilingual. It's in the Founders District in the United States. I just love how Leadership Speak gather the Toastmasters all around the world. This is the most massive scale of diversity I've ever seen in any of the Toastmasters Club. And each time when I attend, I've learned so much from more experienced members. You know, let me tell you something, for members already having experience for 3 or 5 years, we already taken them experienced Toastmasters in China. But when I look at you guys, some of you have been 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, it just reminds me there's still a long way to go. And we got 98th anniversary, and we believe that there's also going to be an exciting another century for Toastmasters. And all of you have keep on inspiring to stay here in Toastmasters and become a person with more self-confidence and personal growth. I'm 28. Thank you.
It's great to have you here, Jesse.
I have a question for Jesse here. You completed a form for joining our club. What's your intention?
I really thank you for keep on connecting me and sending the email about the membership. Unfortunately, my VPN doesn't work now. So I'm trying my best to fix the problem and connect with you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right, we are at time, and I would just like to officially throw the meeting over to our club founder and current president, Brahm Memone, to close our meeting. And over to you, Brahm.
Thank you, Brent. Well, there's nothing much else to say, really. I mean, this has been said already. Wonderful, great meeting. It's very rare that an international president comes to a club. We are lucky that Jim Kokocki comes on a regular basis to inspire us, and he was here today. 90th anniversary. Now, the speech that I did today, I'm also delivering it in California at 5 p.m. our time. If you want a link, just connect with me and I'll give you the link. That's where the actual celebration is taking place for the 90th anniversary. It's being put together by Smedley's Chapter 1 Advanced Toastmasters Club, but it's in the Founders District and it's really backed by the Founders District. So right in, it's a hybrid. So the live will be in Santa Ana, actually, very near to where Ralph Smedley started the club where it was chartered. So if you want to attend, there'll be about 300 to 400 people, I expect. You're welcome to join. But otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, this meeting is adjourned and we are done. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
Thank you,
Brent, for
everyone.
engaging me and indulging me. I cannot resist the temptation between you and Brahm.
So So Mo, you can send me your draft of what you wrote today, and you can email it to me tonight, and I'll even give you feedback tomorrow.
Okay, I'll do that. Try to do it. Adios. Adios. Goodbye. Thanks. Thanks again.